Welcome to Global Grit Conversations, where resilience, leadership, and impact meet across borders. I'm Pamela Campagna, Global Advisor, Professor, and founder of Blue Sage Consulting. Each episode features candid conversations with leaders, builders, and thinkers from around the world who share the moments that tested their resilience and the insights that shaped who they became. This is Global Grit Conversations. So welcome to Global Grit Conversations, Penelope. Welcome. And in this episode, I'm talking with Penelope about how a British American Arab Muslim woman navigates power, trust, and opportunity across many continents and various countries. And your story can teach us quite a bit about how to build relationships and business across cultures. And we're very excited to have you here. So welcome.
Thank you very much. It's my honor and it's my pleasure.
So for those that don't know you, Penelope, can you tell us, where are you right now? What season of your life are you in? What's going on
Thank
with you?
So right now I am, I would say I am in a very intentional and reflective season of my life. I've spent many years building, scaling, moving across countries and cultures and creating impact, and also taking the time to understand, okay, where I want to focus my energy next. What kind of impact I want to have going forward. I never had this opportunity in my life. I was always on the go, like run, doing things. So I would say about myself and how I introduce myself. At my core, I am a mother of four, and that's the most grounding and defining part of who I am. Everything I do is anchored in the values I want to pass to them. And some of my values are integrity, curiosity, courage, respect, and kindness. Now, professionally, I am a scientist. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm innovation leader, and I work across academia, industry, startups. I always at the intersection of science, business, and people building, connecting, and creating opportunities. And identity-wise, I'm proudly Jordanian, Palestinian American, Arab Muslim. I think very obvious. I lived in the UK for my PhD. I'm not British, and that matters to me. Because I carry my identity with intention and pride. So I see myself as a global citizen, but also deeply rooted in my culture and my values. I love my culture. At the same time, I genuinely enjoy learning from connecting with other cultures.
And so when people say, where are you from, Penelope, how do you answer that?
I always start with I am Jordanian. I am very, very proud Jordanian woman. And recently I became American, so I am also proud American. And originally I was born in Palestine, so that makes me Palestinian. But you know what? The most important thing, Pam, is I am a human first. And I led with empathy. I listen deeply. I respect different perspectives, and I truly care about people. That's the center of everything I do. So, human.
Thank you for that. And you mentioned a scientist. So is that where you started your career, or in science, or?
I started my career in science. Yes, I started as a researcher in European company called DACO in Copenhagen. I started in research, but over time I rotated into sales and marketing and training. And for 8 years working at that company, I ended up being the regional director for the Levant region. So I was a corporate employee, if you can look at it from that perspective.
And so science and business, so you combine those
So
two.
I combined both of them at that time, but I was very interested in science and I wanted to pursue my career in science later on.
And in terms of your business background, how did you come about getting the business background? Was it formal? Was it on the job? How would you say you amassed your business acumen?
So I It's by training and by experience and also by education. So after 8 years at that company, I realized that building a company very similar to the company I worked with and at is not very difficult to replicate in the Arab region. So I wanted to start collaborating with scientists, understanding the commercialization style of work between the universities and companies, investors. I wanted to start building infrastructure for biotech companies. So I need to learn that. I need to have that business skills. So I started with trainings. I started to get trained in different universities and institutes, but also by practice. So once you register a company and start putting HR system and bring people on, you become the CEO, and from that moment you have to continue and evolve and understand what exactly that business need and how to grow the business and develop the business and be successful at that organizations. I would say both. It's experience and education.
And so you built a company?
I did build a company after I finished from the corporation world, and I started in Jordan, a biotech company called Monojo Biotech. And Monojo stands for monoclonal antibodies in Jordan. That's what I used to do at DACO. It was diagnostics for cancer treatments.
And tell us a little bit about that experience, building a company, and what were the pros and cons?
Oh, building a company in the Middle East is very challenging, especially if you don't have the infrastructure for startups or entrepreneurship ecosystem. At that time, it was 2004 when I started thinking to um, create that infrastructure. Given that I am also a woman and it's not very much familiar for people to see a woman leading a biotech company, that was a big challenge for me.
How did you? I'm sorry.
But I had to work so hard. I needed to convince everybody, including investors, scientists, the government, by delivering results, pitching my ideas, by showing how serious we are, how important our work is. So it took long time to get people to believe in what we were trying to do as a group of scientists and a group of people coming together to build that kind of like business.
And so the infrastructure you mentioned that was missing when you started your company in Jordan, what could have been in place that would have made it maybe a little bit easier for you?
First of all, the regulations. So I started from putting that regulations to the government, like how to create, how to put the roles and by roles, how to put the legal structure for companies in science or companies based on science, or even how to work with universities from a business perspective. In Jordan, in the Middle East, usually the universities are doing the research and education part of it, but they don't do any economic development activities in the communities. So that was a very new style of business for the country. Even the word entrepreneurship, it was not familiar in the region. So I have to explain what exactly entrepreneurship, coming up with new and novel idea and convert that idea into a company and then take that idea to the market and make money to the investors. It was very difficult because they never had any experience before me, and they don't believe in long-term research and development to make money, so they don't want to wait. They have no experience in these kind of biotech companies in the region. So because we didn't have that infrastructure.
And so you went from being a working for a company to you were someone with a job, and then you became an entrepreneur. Was there a moment when you realized that shift?
Yes.
There was.
Many times I regretted doing that because I lost my job security. I worked so hard. It was always on the fence of no, I will continue this. This is my dream. I will be the role model for the country. Can do this, and I will try to find every way I can to support my company. At the same time, so it's also very difficult to live without constant income. I'm a woman, so I was very lucky that I have my husband covering the bills and paying everything for me, so I can at least do the things without payment in the beginning. But then once we started securing funding and getting some grants, that became easier for me. So the first step was the most difficult one, I would say.
The life of a startup. And then what happened? Are you still with the company, or what happened after
No,
that?
I left. So I stayed with the company for 18 years. And this is a very long time for entrepreneur to stay in a company. But remember, I started from scratch. I started from the idea, and I was one of the builders for the ecosystem in Jordan. So getting 3-4 years just to put together the infrastructure and convincing the government that we can do this, we need regulations to do this, a long time. But also the research itself, it was very new and novel. We worked on camel nanobodies, which is part of our culture, but not in the scientific way. Research usually takes 10 to 12 to 15 years until you get to the market. That was a big concern for the investors. So I had to go for every time for new investors, or even show some milestones and some achievements over time, at least, so they can stay supporting the company. That was a big also steps to take.
Wasn't a quick win. It took a long time
At
to.
that time, no. We didn't have labs ready to go. We didn't have spaces just to rent, and they are ready with quality systems. We didn't have scientists who understand what's the meaning of commercialization. We didn't have FDA, like Jordan FDA regulations to understand the clinical trials we're trying to conduct, or regulatory bodies to regulate our work. So you need to build all of that.
Mhm.
At the same time, you have to stay in the business and grow the business.
And you grew it, and is it still ongoing?
I grew the business. After 10 years, we finished the research and development. We had a couple of patents in Jordan, in the US, and in the UK. And then we commercialized these patents and created a brand, or before the brand, it was a cosmeceutical formula for acne treatments based on nanobodies, based on antibodies coming from the camel after injecting the camel with specific microorganisms, which does not hurt the camel. Something like Propionibacteria acne. The acne bacteria is the cause of the acne problem on the skin. So we created a vaccine. We vaccinated the camel. We extracted the antibodies from the camel milk and the camel blood. And that extract was the base or the active ingredient for that formula. Then we patent all of that and started commercialization. We did a small clinical trial in Jordan on animals and then on people with dermatologists. And then I came to the US to start also registering that formula as a treatment for acne. Unfortunately, I could not. So I pivoted to another path, which is cosmetic formula with a pharmaceutical claim, so I can at least sell that formula or that brand in the US. That's what happened. So it was a shortcut for us and less investment. We created a brand called Skin You, a face wash, a cream, a lotion, different kind of skincare line with that active ingredient. And then we started selling. So we started selling in the Gulf states, in Dubai, Saudi, Qatar, and Jordan. And then we had another registration in Europe, started selling in East Europe, then to Latin America. And recently, like 6 years ago, we were selling on Amazon B2C in the US, and also through influencers.
Wonderful.
I exit from the company. The company merged with another organization, and that was a pivoting a moment for me after 18 years being a CEO and
What
founder.
was that like after such a long time to
It
leave
was
something that
painful.
you created?
It was very painful for me, very, very painful. But I wanted to see my company successful. I wanted to make sure that everyone is secured. I wanted to make sure that it's a success story for the region. And also on the personal level, I was in a very difficult time at the start of the COVID and the pandemic time, 2020. Because my father passed away. So I started to think it's about time to transition. So I left the company and I left the country and I left the startup industry
So you
and
made a
I
clean
pivoted to
break.
academia.
Tell us a little bit about, I know in some of the research I've done, I know you've had access to ministers and royal courts and ambassadors and university
Yeah.
presidents. And what would you say are some of the tips for building relationships with people in these different circles that you've moved in?
I would say building relationships and building trust, deliver, show your value, like how you can create value in every time you present in these circles or these events. Make sure to create your value by the added value you are creating, not by your title or your position. So people wanted to see what exactly you can bring, not who you are as a title. So it's credibility, it's delivery, it's trust, it's a lot of things coming together when you talk to very high level and high profile people in any country.
Do you see any difference in how trust manifests in Eastern or Western cultures?
I do see it's yeah, I do see it's so the trust is the same. How you build it is different, but how you earn it is exactly the same. I would say in Jordan, it's more into relationships and it's more into how you do the things, or do we trust you or we don't trust you. You need to build that trust first. Where in the West, I would say it's performance, it's delivery, it's following the system, it's following the process, and then you gain our trust. It's not, even if we trust you and you're not delivering, or you're not following the system or the structure or the process, you're not going to earn our trust. I would say that's the difference I saw, but I adapted to work with both ecosystems or with both of them in a different ways.
And do you find that you have to adapt, or do you notice that you're adapting between different cultures depending on who you're interfacing with?
Yeah, this is the skill I learned when I came from Jordan to Wyoming. So my first step in the US was Wyoming, and I came from conservative environment, conservative country, tribal, if you would say, a country based on relationships and who you are, what's your family name, and how much we trust you. To Wyoming, which is another conservative environment in a different way, but also it's not easy to accept you because it has less diversity other than the other states. It has its own identity, which is not easy to have access to. So I had to find ways to get people to accept me first of all, and also to trust me, to work with me, to support me. I also to support them. That needed different strategies than being in Jordan or even being here in New York. And
And
I developed all of these strategies to get people to, you know, to trust me, and then I adapt to that environment.
I wonder, was that a thoughtful, you say strategies, was it thoughtful? Did you plan it, or did it just kind of happen?
No, I planned it. I thought of it. I listened to people. I started directly interacting with people. But before that, I was just trying to understand the dynamics in these environments. I tried to understand what's going on formally, informally in that environment with my students, with faculty, with leadership. I try to understand the politics as well and the culture in Wyoming. And I have that understanding and reacting from Jordan, because it's the same strategy. You don't just go and start work. You have to listen first. You have to understand first. You have to respect people first. You have to show people that you present in every time you need to be there. So you're consistent. You're caring for people. You're caring for the system, and then people will build that relationship with you. This is how it worked. So no, it was planned.
It was
I would say
thoughtful. So it was
it was
thoughtful.
thoughtful.
Yeah. So when you orient yourself, I mean, so being in Wyoming, which is very, very different than some of the other places you've already talked about, studying in the UK or living in Jordan or you mentioned being in Amsterdam. So you have to start from scratch in different environments. So it sounds as though you've got something of a formula, if you will, or an approach that that you follow to understand the local market? You're in New York State right now. You're in Buffalo, New York. So what are some tips for listeners who maybe are adapting to a new culture, whether it's an organization culture or a geographic culture? What are some of the tips that you might share?
So I always focus on people. I try to be more empathetic with people. I try to understand their challenges. I always put a strategy for communication, how to communicate with people, how to communicate with my colleagues, how to communicate with the leadership of the university, and how to talk to people in different environments, because some people are interested in topics, others are not interested in the same topics. I always made sure that I understand the level of people, so I don't talk science to people who I meet in community engagement event, and because this is what I love to talk about. So it depends on the environment, but my all the time strategy is focusing on people and being empathetic with people, whether this is in business or in life.
And it sounds like as you're talking, I'm just thinking about emotional intelligence, and it's that self-awareness and that social awareness. It's about being able to read the room and understand who you're talking to, being observant, maybe being curious and asking questions and actively listening to what others have to
I
say.
do lead with the emotional intelligence. In Wyoming, I remember um I was very responding style person rather than being reactive to anything I see. I managed my anger many times because I heard things I didn't like, but that worked. That was very effective, to be honest. So yes, leading by emotional intelligence, that's the right explanation for it.
And so you've covered business and science, and then the third piece of your foundation now is academia. So you started teaching at the university level and in Wyoming. And what was that like for you going from the scientific STEM background and then into the corporate, more business world and entrepreneurship and then academia? What was that like? What was that experience?
Before moving to Wyoming, in Jordan, I used to supervise the PhD students on their research for technology, master students. So I have a little bit of engagement with the students, but I was not focusing on teaching itself. So I was more engaged with the research. Now, when I moved to Wyoming, I was administrative. I was the senior advisor for the president of the university, and then I was co-founder and director for Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the university. I was not assumed to be a professor at that time, so my work was more focused on building programming, designing programming, focusing on skills, creating skills for the workforces, integrating different community colleges with the university, economic development organization with the university, working with the governor office on some policies for entrepreneurship, connecting people from different um, sectors together. But down the road, by time I started to engage more with the students, and I started to get interested to teach the programs which I designed. So I designed very interesting program called Innovate Wyoming, very experiential program for it's very interdisciplinary for every student at the university, helping the student to get their ideas into the market, and providing them with resources and how can they use these resources, and walking with them all the way. And I used to do this in Jordan, but I was never doing that in a teaching way. Then I was co-teaching another and redesigning another program with a senator at Wyoming called Ideation, Innovation, Invention. And just designing that program gave me lots of joy and confidence that I can make a difference in any student who is interested in creating a startup. So I came with these ideas, with these programs, and then I started to repeat the same thing at the university at Buffalo in a different way, because the market is different, the students are different, the resources are different.
A wonderful thing to be working with the students, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's just amazing. I still have lots of my students reaching out to me. I'm helping them as a reference sometimes for their jobs. I mentor many of them until now. So
Mhm.
it's so much fun.
That's wonderful. And so you mentioned working and the future of work. So when you think about technology and social change, what do you foresee are the implications for the future of work?
I do think that the technology is a great thing. It's accelerating everything in our life. It's making our life easier and sometimes happier. But I don't have that uh, scare from the technology. And I've been in different committees on AI, how to deal with the AI, how to teach the AI, how to govern the AI, all of these new technologies. The same was with blockchain. I was in these committees and in these centers. So I love the technology, but I still feel that the human element is the most important thing. And we can collaborate like humans and technology as are and should working with each other. I don't see in any way that we will the human judgment for anything. So I feel if we can regulate that, if we can understand that, I think it's a collaboration process. This is how I look at it. It's not a competition. We're not competing with machines. We're not competing with any technology.
You've mentioned that you've straddled different traditional roles, being a woman in Jordan, being a woman in Jordan starting a business, being a woman in Jordan starting a business as an entrepreneur in biotech. All of those have been not traditional roles for the time that you were doing this.
Yes.
And so there's been a lot of uncertainty, I would imagine, in your journey. And are there specific questions that you ask yourself that help you to guide you through that uncertainty?
Yes. So it's I feel this is the responsibility, and I'm by design responsible person. So I over time think of why I'm doing all of that. Why do I need to do all of that? What's the motivation behind taking all of these responsibilities in a country that is not sometime ready for this kind of business or responsibility? But also, it's me personal. This is who I am. But also, I feel there is a gap, there is a need, there is an opportunity, and I need to be the first person to bring that opportunity to my country and to my people, specifically to women. Um, I wanted my girls, and I wanted my students, and I wanted my friends to feel confident if they want to go to that track because they saw me, and I can teach them, and I can mentor them, and I can help them if they want to go the same uh, road I walked. Someone should come and start that at that time. That was me because I have the skills, I have the guts. I don't know, I have the curiosity to start something. I didn't have the confidence at that time. The confidence was built by time. Every time I achieve something, every time I feel someone is supporting me to go further, I felt more confident. I never had the resources ready for me just to take any resource. I have to create that resources. I have to make sure that I understand how to take that opportunity when it comes. So I feel this was all out of motivation and the feeling of I'm a responsible person in a way.
And when you think about the transitions that you've been through, and for listeners who maybe are going through a career transition or a life transition or considering what's next, you've shared your story. You've done this many times throughout your career. What would be one honest piece of advice you'd give them?
I would say, and I give this advice for my kids, just reflect on yourself, first of all, understand what's your weaknesses are, what's your strengths, and understand, be a self aware person that I can do this or I can't do that, and also seek the support you need. Like I have this challenge with some of my students. They don't seek because they don't feel that people will help them or support them, so they don't ask for help. I would say even if you understand your weaknesses, just ask for the help. So understand who you are, understand what's your vision in life. If you don't have a vision to life, create a vision for life. If you don't have goals to life, create these goals based on who you are, like your environment, your culture, your background, your gender. Everything you have is a different DNA from other people's DNA. So I would say just the more you understand about yourself, the more you can understand the vision you want to have for life, and then you will know your potential. This is how I look at it, and this is how I lead, like the mentees I am working with.
And one last question. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had asked you about?
Ask me about my kids.
Ask you about your kids. Who's your favorite?
No, I'm not gonna answer that. No way.
Yes.
But I did not realize that kids and family are the most important thing in my life until they started to be my friends. So I used to put my career, my education, my goals in life at the same level with my family, and that all changed once they became my friends, and I started to feel very proud of them. I started to change all of my perspective for the family and the kids.
I think that's called wisdom, my friend.
Thank you. I'm not
Yes.
that old still.
So, Pen, thank you so much
Thank you.
for taking the time today to share your journey with us. And if Penelope's journey through multiple systems and cultures and transitions has resonated with you, take what you've heard today and decide on one action that you might want to take yourself that you'll act on this week in your own journey. So, thank you again and be well.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
We hope today's conversation offered insights that you can use in your own journey. Subscribe for future episodes with global leaders, entrepreneurs, practitioners, emerging voices, and unexpected guests. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and turning grit into growth.